Hello. Hey, Carlos. No, we haven't scheduled. I called him yesterday. He didn't answer. Sunday, remember Sunday he was supposed to let me know if Monday was a good day. He told me Monday was not a good day, then maybe Wednesday or today. And he hasn't contacted me. And I called yesterday, but no answer. I have not been next door with him to him, but I can try him today.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Hi, everyone. All right. Now, here's the fun thing. I get to see if I can get this screen shared. Well, I want a beach scene behind me. Man, that makes me want to go to the ocean. Let's see. There we go. All right, here's the test. Can you guys see the forms and functions slide? Is it up?
Yeah, I made you the host.
Awesome. So I can let people in.
Yeah, I don't know if they need a password to get in, but are you sharing it to Facebook or are we doing it?
No, if you want to do it, that would be great. I am going to record it though.
Okay.
All right, can you guys see the slideshow? Yes? No?
Good morning, ladies. Yes, I can see.
Yes, we can
Okay,
see it.
perfect.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just want to make sure so I can go back and forth because I don't want to. All right. So I can go back and forth this way so you guys can see me. Bam. All right. So now everyone, before we get everything, because I got a couple minutes, everybody can see me, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
I can.
Awesome. Okay, good. Well, we'll wait a couple more minutes and let some other people join. I want to make sure I ask the front desk, just in case people try to join and can't get in, I want to make sure that they can do that. And you guys you don't have to show your face if you don't want to. I see a couple of you have turned that off, but you can leave. Once we get started, you can actually unmute yourself because I want this to be very interactive and I want you guys to ask questions as you need questions asked. So just to let you guys know.
I made you the host. I can't share.
Thank you, Christy. I'm a fairly new agent. And one of the things I wanted to ask about before we start, so as you kind of delivering,
Okay.
I have the dot loop and I'm not familiar with command.
Okay.
So I want to know how we can.
Yeah, this is going to answer all the questions for you. You're going to see exactly how to upload from dot loop. You're going to be good.
Yeah, I got a listing.
Yay!
Yeah, and I need to get it up there today. Today is
Okay.
the deadline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are perfectly fine.
You want me in there, anyone? Or in here?
While I'm going to be in here, you can listen and you can watch it. I'm doing, or you can do it on Zoom. It's on Zoom.
Okay.
Because since it was just gonna be me and you in there today. So, but we're good, you got it. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Okay.
Awesome.
Why is it not?
What?
Is it live on Facebook?
Mhm.
Is there a pop-up or something?
I've never done it. Like I've never been, they've never made me the host. I just got to let people in. I have to take these off so they don't make noise because I'll play with them the whole time. But I have to stand up. And you can tell I'm in the process of moving everything around. So I'll say, yeah, I have to tell that. I was like, they want people to meet with people, but we can get you in our office. And she's like, no. And I'm like, listen, you know what? Don't worry about it. Leave all your stuff. When you come in, you can just sit in there with me.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
So it's like, it's popping up, but it's going somewhere.
Okay, let me see. Let's see here if it's going to
There we go.
share on
Group.
group. What group do I want to
If you
share?
type in agent.
Agent page?
Yep.
Look at that next. Gotta love a Mac. You gotta do it a special way
Yeah.
because it doesn't like people.
Yeah. And then you should be good.
I can close all these down. Mhm. No, I don't need to do all that. So this is good. Awesome. Let me go back to Zoom. Or do I need to wait and make sure it's streaming?
Yeah, just make sure it's streaming.
I actually have a boom mic, but I need to get an adapter. Who has that anymore? I don't know. Actually, you know what? I wonder if it'll work my other adapter. I'll have to play with it. I won't do it today. I'm gonna get a whole. Miller and I are gonna order a whole system, so it's all set up in there and work right.
Let's see. Okay, try go live.
I won't add a title.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if it doesn't work, then you're gonna record it, so we can just put it on.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that it's. I don't know where I'm live, but yeah, watch.
Hello, can you hear me? I
No.
can't hear you.
You should be live in the agent page. I'll go check.
Okay, go check, and we'll go from there.
Oh, I think, okay, yeah. All right, yeah, just
All right.
continue on. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we got 1 minute, so we'll give everybody a couple more minutes to join. And it says we're live on Facebook, so that's exciting. Okay, somebody can't hear? All right, can everybody hear now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, guys, well, we will go ahead and get started. It is 9:30. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here today. My name is Christy. I am your new, which is kind of crazy for me to say, your new Keller Williams technology educator. So what does that mean? And what does that mean for you guys? Well, the one thing it means is that as you guys are taking classes, we are going to have technology classes each week, but it's really going to be technology based around your business. So, you will see in this, I've tried to be extremely specific. I've tried to do a slide presentation that you can actually get the information from. Not to mention, we are actually going to record these. We're making a database knowledge system for everyone in the office. So all of these webinars, videos, things that we are going through in classes will be uploaded on YouTube. We will give you guys that channel so that you guys can go back and rewatch them. And if you have questions, it's going to be a lot easier to get it from a walkthrough than it would be to try to go on and learn it cold turkey. so to speak. So I'm going to share my screen. I want to make sure everybody can see it. So if for some reason you can't see it, please let me know. Can everybody see our beautiful forms and functions in Command Your Files?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Now, I told some of the participants that got on earlier, you guys don't have to show your face. I love seeing it, but you don't have to show it. What I really want is for you guys to keep yourself off mute so that you can ask questions and we can go through this, because this is all about you understanding exactly what to do when it comes down to your forms and functions. So let's get things started. All right. So where do I find everything I need? Where do I find my forms? Well, for us at Keller Williams, they have made an amazing command system where you actually have the option to use DocuSign. You can use Transaction Desk, like through Georgia MLS. You can use the transaction system through FMLS, or you can use Dotloop. So any of these systems actually have your forms in them. Make sure that with your forms you have already registered with your local board. You have already gotten your NERDS number, because that will be the way that you actually access the Georgia Association of Realtor forms. And any of these systems will have those forms. So you can see here that this is your DocuSign system. If you choose to use DocuSign, that is integrated. Dotloop is also integrated, and that's what your Dotloop system will look like, as well as your agent dashboard for your transaction desk. All right, so let's talk a little bit about DocuSign. If you choose to use the DocuSign, you need to set this up through your command system. We'll look at that today. This format for forms and documents will integrate with your command system, which means you can actually click on within the system through command your DocuSign and pull the form straight from there. Now you will need to set DocuSign up. DocuSign will put your contacts in there. It will also add your signatures in there and have all of your forms. It will put you in what's called rooms. DocuSign has an amazing training system that you can actually use to understand it. And I will show you today how to set that up within your system. Now, Dotloop, if you choose Dotloop, you will first need to contact Dotloop. Understand that Dotloop is a third-party system. It is not, it integrates with Command. We have a system to integrate it. However, it is not paid for by Command as your DocuSign system is. DocuSign is already a partner with Command. Dotloop is a third-party partner, which means that yes, it will integrate with the system, but you have to pay for this outside. Now, Dotloop has given some amazing discounts to Keller Williams agents that are using Command to stay with Dotloop, because we have been with Dotloop in the past. And if you're already familiar with it, like I am personally, I chose to stay with Dotloop because it integrated with the system, but I already had all of my loops set up. So you'll just want to make sure that as we're going through this, find what's best for you. Any of these systems work great. You just have to do what's best for you and your business. And of course, a transaction desk or an FMLS. This application is powered, Transaction Desk, which is the one we'll talk about today, is powered through Georgia MLS. You can work within this platform. You can download your forms from this platform and upload them into Command. There's no direct connection, so you can't pull them while you're in Command. However, if this is already a platform that you work with and you're comfortable with, continue to use it. There's nothing wrong with it. No one says you have to use any of these systems or choose one of the three or two of the three. I've used all of these systems at one time or another in Command. You have to find what's going to work best for you, because unfortunately, what may work for one agent may not work for another one. And that's completely okay. So I don't want you guys to feel like you have to do this because that's what's there. You may say, hey, you know what? I'd love to use a system, but right now I don't want to pay for one, but I don't like DocuSign. Transaction Desk may be what works for you. So any additional questions on this, you guys let me know. All right, so let's kind of talk about what you do, because people get a little freaked out, and I understand that. First and foremost, understand there is nothing in Command that you can't do or redo, okay? None of these settings are going, it's kind of like you talk about when you first started using a computer. There's nothing that you can do that we can't undo. Okay, so don't be scared of this. Okay, this is here to help you. And it was designed by agents to make things easy. All right. So you'll see number one, when you go into your command system, when you're working with your forms and functions, you'll see these two little hands clasp. Isn't that sweet? Right? So that's called your opportunities. This is where you're actually going to write your contracts and work within command to submit those contracts. If you were here in the past, this would be what you would call going into your loop to submit your loop. Okay. But they're called opportunities because that's exactly what they are. The great thing about opportunities is not only do you write your forms and functions within your opportunity, this actually helps you track the entire system from the first time that you talk to a lead until they close a transaction, which is pretty amazing. Today, we're just going to break down the form system of it, but there are other classes and will be other classes on exactly how to use an opportunity to track your business. Once you're in the opportunity and you click on the little hands, in the top right hand, you'll see this little gear or gig, whichever you call it. This is actually your settings system, and we want to go into your settings first for you to decide how you want to get your forms. Number 3 is once you click on this settings, you're going to be given a settings drop-down system. You're going to want to click on command settings, the little drop-down right here. Once you do that, you're going to want to click on applications. Okay, this application shows you all the applications that integrate within the command system. It will pop up and you will want to find these two, DocuSign and dotloop. Okay. You have an option in connecting these softwares. You can connect both. You can connect one. You don't have to connect either. With either, you will need to set it up through this command. And obviously, like we talked about with Transaction Desk, it's separate. So what you will see, you see mine is already connected here. But over here, if it is not connected, it will say connect. That's how you will actually set up you will actually be able to log in to each account through command. Now, first you will have to go in and set up the accounts. So dotloop, you will have to, because it's a third party, you will have to set it up outside of command. DocuSign, you can actually set up through command. So when you click on it, it will ask you to walk through to set up a complete DocuSign account. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions on that so far?
No, it makes sense to me. I've done the DocuSign. I've
Okay.
said I've connected DocuSign. So
Now I'll ask you, since you've done that, how easy was that for you to set up through command?
it was very easy. I actually had somebody from the office help me because I was like, I don't want to mess up. And I just called Stephanie at the office, but it was very easy. Very,
Good.
very, very easy.
Good.
But I've used Transaction Desk and I like Transaction Desk too.
And that's completely fine. Whatever is the easiest for you, because let me tell you, this system is it was created to make it easy for you. However, you can get to write a contract. That's what we want you to do. The contract is the whole focus of this, because if you can't get to your forms, it's going to be bad for your business. So we want you to be able to get to them, which is why I wanted to do this, because bottom line, it's not about the systems and applications. It's about how you use them to make your business better, right? So we want to make this easy. Now, if you already have a dotloop account, let's say you do, when you click on that, it's just going to ask for your username and password. So it's going to integrate it that way. So guys, any questions on this afterwards, please let me know, because it's really, like she said, it's really not difficult. We just want to make sure you guys get it done. All right, so let's talk about Transaction Desk. For those of you who have not used it, you will log into your Georgia MLS as normal. When you get to this screen right here where you could go to Paragon, CRS, it'll say Transaction Desk. Okay, so just click on Transaction Desk. Now I'm going to go through, because I will be honest with you, I've used Transaction Desk on a minimum level. I actually know how to pull forms. But when you open Transaction Desk and it says the Agent Help Desk, if you go down right here to this little question mark and click on it, this screen will come up. All right. The help button is phenomenal, because you'll see it has live support, online training. You can actually send feedback. It has videos. It has webinars. So if you choose to use Transaction Desk, which is completely fine, use this help system to walk you through all of the amazing things, because you can do some great things with Transaction Desk. It is actually a really great system for functionality of your forms, and it's free with Georgia MLS. So any of these that you choose to use that's going to work for your business, do what's easiest. All right. So let's get down to some meat and potatoes. Someone said that last night on Facebook and I loved it, the meat and potatoes of things, because there's categories in Command. And these categories have confused people with the functionality of Command. Because when you log on, you're going to see all these different words that say like required, conditionally required, optional. It's going to say categories and platforms and listing and consultation, and there's all these drop downs, and it really has freaked a lot of people out. First and foremost, don't let it freak you out. Okay, we're going to go through all those functions. We're going to talk about them today, and I want you to understand they were put in place to make it easier for you, not more difficult. I know that sounds crazy, but first and foremost, when you go into an opportunity, you're going to go into your opportunity, you're going to click on documents within your opportunity's name. And when you click on those documents, this is the screen that'll come up. And that looks like a whole bunch of gibberish. All right. And I know that it does, but we're going to kind of talk about what each of the little buttons mean. All right. First and foremost, you can see on this side, because nothing's been uploaded, it says not uploaded. You can see that all the way down. On this side, you can see what the document is, and you can see what type it is. Now, on the far side over here that I did not put in the picture, you will actually see where it says add a file. We'll talk about that in a little bit. With the documents, these are what you're going to be uploading. Now, the thing that people have kind of skipped over is you see right here where it says the words and they're kind of all broken up. It'll tell you within your opportunity if these are required or not. And people have gotten very frustrated, as Dan Hudson, I don't know if you guys have met Dan personally. He is fantastic. He is our compliance broker here in the office. So Dan checks all of our files, okay? And he'll send you these little notes back, and you may not even realize how he's sending those back to you, but he's sending them back through this system of Command to tell you what is needed, what you need to upload, what's required, and this is how you know. So you can click on however you want to do it. If you click on this little arrow here, it's going to change how your documents are shown. I'm an alphabetical person. I'm a high D personality. I like those bullet points. I like to check stuff off. So I always make sure that all of mine are alphabetical. That's just by clicking this button. You can actually click this button right here by type, and it'll do it in order by, is it addendum? Is it an authorization? And is it an agreement? Okay. But the big thing I want you to understand is as you're going in and looking at all these, there is a lot. That's why I made this small so you could see there's a huge list of things for a listing, for a buyer, for under contract that you're going to need. Understand that some are conditionally required. You may not have an amendment to your contract at all. You may not have an amendment to your brokerage engagement, but you might. And there's some that are required. Like this is a buyer file that I pulled up. So it says buyer brokerage agreement. That's required. It's not an option. You have to have a buyer brokerage agreement, or you're going to have your customer acknowledgement form. So understand that when you go into it, just take a second to look at it, and then you'll understand what forms are required for those. Is there any questions on this? Anything, guys?
No.
All right, perfect. All right. Now, getting forms into Command. Here's where it gets a little crazy. All right, if you're going to use DocuSign or you're going to use dotloop, you're going to have to actually start that transaction in Command first. All right, if you go into DocuSign or you go into dotloop, you're going to have to do a sync to Command, and not everything pulls over. I will tell you, they are still working on that. The easiest and smartest way to do it is everything starts with Command. If you have to look at it that way, step number one is always Command. So if you go into Command and you're going to pull up your sales pipeline, you're going to go into your opportunities. When you get to your sales pipeline and you find your client, like my client here is Tech Test listing, and you pull up your documents, this is the screen that you're going to see. Okay. What I want to do, because I have a new listing that I need to get my forms and get ready to put it in, I am going to start a transaction. Once I have started transaction, I'm going to see a drop-down menu. All right. on that drop-down menu, I can go to DocuSign and pull my forms, or I can go to Dotloop and pull my forms. Either one. If you click on DocuSign, it's going to start you a room with the name of your listing. All right, so what does that mean? Well, the name of my listing here is Tech Test Listing. So when I go to DocuSign and I click on DocuSign, it's going to say your Tech Test room. Okay, same if I go into Dotloop. The name of my loop will be Tech Test Listing. And that's okay. In either system, you can change that. Let's say you want it to be 123 Main Street, or you want it to be Mr. and Miss Smith. You can do that in either system, but understand that's how you're going to look for it initially when you go into either of those systems. That's how it would be named. There was a little bit of confusion because initially they wanted us, when we, let's say in the past, when we had Dotloop, they wanted us to name it the name of the property. Well, we had to change that sometimes because if we had a buyer, we didn't know the name of the property. And this may be the same. Your may be, you know, John Smith. At that point, when John Smith has a property and they want you to go back in Command and put the name of the, put the address of the property in Dotloop or in DocuSign, you may have to manually go back and change that to the name of the property if you choose to. I just want you to understand as you're going through and you're pulling different systems, how you're going to find your forms. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, awesome. All right. All right, now getting your forms. All right, so we've said we're going to have it in Dotloop. We've said we're going to have it in DocuSign, or maybe you've decided, hey, you know, screw all that crazy stuff. I want to have it in Transaction Desk, and you've created it. And you've pulled your files in those 3 different systems, and you've typed things in, and you've filled out everything that you're supposed to. Once you click on Add a File, the option will come up where the file wants to come from. Okay, so when you click on Add a File, it's going to ask you where you want it. So for mine, for this one, I chose to have Dotloop. So it's going to say, where do you want to pull those files from? Do you want to pull it manually? Do you want to pull it from Dotloop, or it should say DocuSign, or do you want to have a custom folder? All right. Most of us are going to use the first or second one. We're either going to pull it manually. That means you used an outside system like Transaction Desk and you downloaded those files. Or it could be that you have Dotloop. And if you have Dotloop, you want to be able to pull those files from Dotloop. If you are pulling them from Dotloop, okay, it will automatically drop down and give you your filing system in Dotloop. It will automatically pull that loop up for you, and you will see everything written out for the Dotloop. If it's manual, you're going to need to click on Browse. Now, a custom folder will be a completely different folder. On the side in your command, it'll either say, you know, listing under contract. This will actually create a custom folder. If you need to do so, that's fine. Most of us will not use this function.
So if I've already completed those forms in Dotloop, I just click Dotloop and it'll pull it in there.
Yes, ma'am. It will pull it in there.
Okay.
And that's the great thing about DocuSign's the same way. If you've already created all your forms in DocuSign and you've already had everybody sign them in DocuSign or Dotloop, then those drop-down menus will actually say exclusive listing agreement. You click on that, it will automatically upload it into Command.
Okay.
Yeah. Understand, Command is not the system where you fill the forms out.
Okay.
Thing that confuse people.
Gotcha.
Command is the uploading system in which you're going to get paid.
Okay.
That's why I say we're going to start with the first thing so we can all get paid, and that's going to be Command. But your form systems where you actually type in the information in your forms will either be your Transaction Desk, your DocuSign, or your Dotloop.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about those forms, okay? And we're going to talk about the opportunities. There's 3 opportunities that you can do within Command System. You can do listings, you can do buyers, and you can do leases. All right, now some of us don't work with leases as much, but you might. So they've actually added that functionality in there for you. So let's talk about those a little bit. Okay, your listing opportunity. There are some required forms when you have a listing. All right, one is your exclusive listing agreement. As we know, we don't have a listing unless we have this, correct? The other is the dual entry form. Do you, and I'm gonna ask because I want us to go through these forms a little bit. Do you guys know what a dual entry form is?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. A dual entry form is a printout sheet that you can actually type in the fields as well. We have it with, it's a Keller Williams form. Well, we use it in the office, but it's a form that can go to both FMLS and Georgia MLS. This is one that most people that have a transaction coordinator or someone that uploads their MLS uses. You actually can type all the information for your listing on this form. Okay, it has the MLS code for what county it's in or what area it's in. It has what is your tax ID number, what is the taxes for this, and then you check the boxes, you know, those wonderful little boxes that says, okay, is there a dual vanity in the master bedroom? Is there his and her closets? Does it have a tray ceiling? Does it have a fenced in yard? The dual entry form is exactly that. I always laugh and say old school for those of us who have been in the business. We actually had to handwrite these out and submit them into the office. So now it's much easier. If you go, and I'm going to back up here so you guys can see, when you are actually in the forms, if you click on where it says price change listing extension, if you click on the one that has dual entry form, you can actually see that form. It is a field, it'll pop up in another box, and I'll show you at the end so that you can actually download that form so you can put it into your system. Now, for me in dotloop, when you go to dotloop or DocuSign, there should be a section where you have Keller Williams forms. And you may not understand when you go into your forms that it's actually there. But if you look in the Keller Williams forms, the dual entry form is one of those forms that's in there. Okay. Georgia MLS printout. You guys know what a printout is, right? It's where you print out that you actually put your listing in. If you are in an FMLS area, we're very lucky in Henry County that we are not an FMLS area. However, I do quite a bit of work in Newton County, and they are. So I actually have to do an FMLS printout as well. Wire fraud, we all know what that is, right?
Yes.
Okay, I know. That's hammered into our head. Okay, so the wire fraud is necessary for all listings and all buyers. Now, here's the kicker for a wire fraud, because most people didn't get this as we're going through them. If you are showing unlisted property, so let's say that you have a buyer and they want to buy a FSBO. Does the FSBO have to sign a wire fraud?
Yes.
Yes. Good answer. Everyone in the transaction has to do it if they are represented by you or if they are unrepresented. Now, if I'm working with another agent from RE/MAX and they have a listing and my buyer's buying that listing, their sellers don't have to fill it out. But anyone that is a client of Keller Williams or a customer of Keller Williams will need to fill one out. Now, here's two new forms that people have been questioning. One is the sewage system and water system disclosure. Now, if you work in the wonderful county of DeKalb, we all know that we have to fill out one of the water system forms for DeKalb. But what this is a sewage system and water disclosure form for Keller Williams. Okay, I know a lot of us did not know about this. This is fairly new from Pinnacle Partners. What this is just tells you, okay, I'm on a septic tank or I'm on city water. And, you know, do I have a well? Do I have public water? That's all that disclosure is. But for every listing, it is now there. So make sure you guys find this and download it as well to your forms. And of course, the disclosure of advertising agreement. This discloses that our Atlanta Partners group has a advertising agreement with O'Kelly and Sorhan. That O'Kelly and Sorhan, we're not required to use them. Your buyers and sellers are not required to use them, but the sellers need to understand that because who do the listings belong to? They don't belong to the agents, right? They belong to the office, to the brokerage, that the brokerage has an agreement with O'Kelly and Sorhan. Any questions on those? All right. Okay, so listing opportunities conditionally required. Now, what conditionally required means is that it's not required by GREC or Keller Williams Atlanta Partners to have these in your file, but you probably will have some of these, which means if you do, it has to be uploaded, which is of course any price change that you do or amendment to brokerage agreement. So if you guys change the price, you change the terms, obviously that form needs to be filled out and uploaded. The FMLS printout, like we said, if applicable, the seller's property disclosure, the community association disclosure, the lead-based paint exhibit, any referrals that you will have, and of course our wonderful pay at closing and our distribution disbursement authorization, which will go at closing. Now all of these with a listing are conditionally required because of course we may not have a seller's property disclosure. Okay, if not, we need to make sure we make note of that. You may have a house that's out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have a community association. That's fine as well, but you need to just understand that. And of course, lead-based paint. Not everything's built before 78, but please make sure that you review where these are in case you might need them. And there's also a place for miscellaneous documents. Let's say that your seller is awesome, totally on top of everything, and gives you a whole list of their utilities. Well, you want to keep that somewhere, right? So maybe you want to upload where the utilities are, and that's just a miscellaneous document. Or maybe they have a warranty on the house that they've already done. You may want to upload that so you can keep track of it. Those are the kind of things that would be what we consider optional. They're not even conditionally required. It's just optional. All right, so let's talk about buyers. Not quite as much with buyers until you get to, of course, what's under contract.
Christy,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I have a question about the lead-based paint exhibit.
Yes.
I don't know if it was in a class or if it was with someone that I was talking about this, but it was recommended that even though the house was not prior to 1978, to have that lead-based paint exhibit in there just in case there's something in there that was prior to 19, like a door, a barn door, or something like that. So they were like, just have it in there just in case because you don't know what's in the house.
And that is definitely, and what they're talking about is have it in your forms package when you have that conversation with the seller. Because
Okay.
you're right. My whole home was built in 1906. Now, granted, my house has been completely renovated, but I still have original mantel pieces, and I still have some of the original flooring pieces that they use for the ceiling. So even though my whole house has been redone, I still have pieces in there that were prior to 1978. That's what they're talking about, because there still could be traces of lead-based paint on that. So absolutely, if that is a policy that you want to go ahead and adopt for all of your listings, absolutely do it.
Regardless of the year that it was
Regardless
built.
of the year.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can. Now, there again, it is not required, but that could be a policy that you just automatically do for the safety of your seller.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? All right, so let's talk about the buyer forms, because we always get pretty excited about listings because there's not quite as much paperwork. And yes, we are going to have more paperwork when it comes to buyers because, you know, it's just more fun that way, right? So first and foremost, what is required with your buyers? Number one, a purchase and sale agreement. It's kind of redundant to say that, but of course you will be writing that purchase and sale agreement as a buyer representative. So you'll want to make sure you have that. Instructions to your closing attorney. Now, once you have a listing that goes under contract, the instructions to closing attorney absolutely will be required, but just as a listing, you do not. So that's why you don't see that show up under a listing format. Now, a buyer brokerage agreement or a customer acknowledgement form are absolutely required. You do not have to represent a buyer as a client. However, you do have to have an agreement with them of some kind. So one would be your buyer brokerage agreement, and the other would be your customer acknowledgement that says, okay, I'm not going to represent them as a client, but I am going to represent them as a customer. And of course, our one and only, we love the wire fraud. So that has to be in there for all of your buyers. Now here's what gets fun with buyers. We have quite a few conditionally required that will actually be added to as you go through your opportunity. Now, I hate to have to put this up front, but of course, any termination documents are conditionally required if it does terminate, and that is the termination of the brokerage engagement, that is the termination and unilateral termination and release of earnest money, any kind of documents that fall under that, the distribution authorization once it goes to closing, any exhibits and addenda. And we put this because we know that if you write a contract and you have, let's look over to the side here, and I have an FHA loan contingency, conditional loan contingency, all cash. Those are considered exhibits that are conditionally required because we don't know which one you're going to pick. But once you pick one, then it becomes required because you do have to upload those loan contingencies. And I am going to throw this in here, even though this is not an actual forms class. Understand that when you are representing a buyer, okay, the loan contingencies are considered super forms. And I love that word. They're super forms because what is on those supersede what is on the purchase and sale agreement. That becomes the most important exhibit that you have in your entire contract because that is the most protection that your buyer is going to have. Okay, so make sure if you have not read every single loan contingency exhibit, you do so today. Critically important. All right, then of course we have amendments. We know there's usually several that go along with a purchase and sale agreement. Earnest money. Guys, this is so important, and I'm going to talk about this for just a moment. Does everybody know what Form F10 and F11 is? And it's okay if you don't, but this is kind of why we're going to talk about it. During this coronavirus pandemic that we have had, a lot of offices are pushing that the earnest money is to be held by the attorney's office. Okay, F10 and F11 are the two forms that are needed for it to be approved that the earnest money is held by and is in charge of with the attorney's office. If that is the case, the office needs to know exactly where the earnest money is and a copy of that wire that comes in to the attorney's office. Most attorney's offices will not take checks of any kind. A few will take some money orders, but what they're going to ask for is a wire. Please make sure that you are looking at this carefully. If the earnest money is held by our office, there is a place on there to click and upload a copy of the form that we fill out here in the office with the earnest money that we turn in. But if it is not, and you upload a copy of the wire that the attorney's office has received, you will also need to upload not only F10, which is an agreement for the attorney to hold the earnest money, but F11, which also is a signature by the attorney's office that they are holding the earnest money. Both of those have to be uploaded. Authorization to show unlisted property. This is, of course, if you are showing a FSBO or one that is not listed on the MLS. FMLS 118. Now, if it is in FMLS, you will need to make sure that you upload that you have closed this transaction. That way, two wonderful things happen. Number one, the office knows that they're going to need to go in and close it because agents cannot close their own transactions in FMLS. The second wonderful thing is you get to pay that beautiful FMLS fee, which is 0.0012 of the purchase price, which will need to come off at closing. Lead-based paint exhibit and the referral form. I'm going to talk a minute about the lead-based paint exhibit if you were not on for team meeting this past Tuesday. It is required for the seller, let me rephrase that, the seller to fill out the lead-based paint form first. If you are a buyer's agent and you go into a house that was built in 1965 and your buyer makes a proposal or an offer on the house, you cannot fill out your part of the lead-based paint and send it to the seller. You have to request that the seller does that. Dan has made it very clear that he's going to be looking to ensure that the seller's signature and time and date stamp on anything electronically signed is before the buyers, because we don't need to be checking our boxes of what we want until we know what the seller says about the lead-based paint. Because what if the seller actually knows about the lead-based paint and we're putting on there that we don't know anything and we want 10 days? If you find out that there's lead-based paint, your buyer may not want to buy it. Correct?
Yes.
So you want to make sure that the lead-based paint exhibit is signed and sent to you by the seller or the seller's agent first. Okay, so forms from transaction desk. Now I just want to go over this again. Keep in mind that your forms from transaction desk are filled out in transaction desk. They're signed through AuthentiSign in transaction desk. Then you have to individually, don't do them as a cluster because that will be very difficult. Individually download those files to your computer or to another file if you have an external hard drive. And then you have to, when you click on those files to add files in command, you have to upload everyone individually. Because if you don't do them individually, it will mass bulk download everything. You want to make sure you do those one at a time. Okay. All right. So we have gotten all this crazy stuff uploaded and done, and we need to make sure that Dan checks this and we can get on the road to getting paid. So there is a button once you submit that first file, or once you click on add that first file, the submit to MC, which is the Market Center, will turn blue. Once it turns blue, you must hit that submit button for your files to be reviewed. A lot of times we have seen that agents have done a wonderful job and they've gone in and they've added all these files and they've gotten everything in there, and then they've never submitted it to be reviewed, and they don't understand why they didn't get paid or why they're having to wait on their check, or they couldn't get a pay at closing. I would say, good rule of thumb, let's say you got a listing and the person's going to fill out the seller's disclosure, but you went ahead and got a listing, but you don't have the seller's disclosure signed. Go ahead and upload that listing, submit it to the Market Center. You can always go back, and every time you add a file, you can submit it to the Market Center. Don't wait. Per the Georgia Real Estate Commission, any listings that are taken and or any new buyer brokerage agreements that are signed, or any purchase and sale agreements that have been accepted and bound, have to be uploaded to your broker within 48 hours. How many days is that?
2.
Well, yes. Make sure that you guys are kicking it and getting these things uploaded, because you do not want to get caught 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road, and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to upload all of that. Because then you are in violation of the Real Estate Commission, not just Keller Williams, not just Atlanta Partners or Stockbridge office. So it goes a little bit bigger than that. So make sure that as soon as you get these files in, that you upload them as soon as possible. I know that can be challenging. That's why if you look, most of Transaction Desk, Dotloop, and DocuSign, if you do not already have the applications on your phone, you can download an app so that you can do all of this on the go. All right. So before we go to our question and answer session, I'm going to tell you there are additional resources, guys. Now, granted, I love teaching this. I am here if you need me, but KW Connect, if you go to kwconnect.com/page/command-your-business, it goes all to the command videos that you can click on. You can absolutely look at all of these. Some of them are a little quick, so you might have to watch them a couple times. I even had to do that because they go through things really fast, but you guys can totally go through that. The second one is YouTube. YouTube.com, results, search, query, Keller Williams Command. If you just go to YouTube and type in the search bar, Keller Williams Command or KW Command, you're going to see all these videos by individual agents, command people, other trainers who have trained on command. This is where we are not in this system, but We're going to have our YouTube channel that's going to have all of our classes that we've done, so you can go back and look at it. Give me some time. We're getting that all up and running. And of course, if you have not already joined the Facebook KW Command group, you can do that as a KW agent. So on Facebook, if you look up under groups, KW Command, there's Command Your Transactions. There's a whole bunch of different groups that you can join. You can ask questions on there as well. Obviously, I am always available for you guys, but I want you to know that there are so many other great things that you can look at and do if you're stuck at home and you're having a problem and you can't get someone. So there is a lot of great resources for all of us. And of course, that's me. That is my phone number. And I put this quote on there because people get very frustrated with technology, but understand that this is the journey. The journey is the reward, because as you guys are going through this, you're going to gain more than just, hey, I can stick my files in Command. You're going to actually feel so much more comfortable with other different things that is going to really make a huge difference in your business. And that's what we're here for, guys. We're really here for you to be able to grow in your business and do things that are going to make a difference for you. All right. So can everybody see me now? Yay. Okay. So I want to open it up to questions. I know that that was a lot of information in like 25, 30 minutes. So for the next 10 minutes, I'm not going to keep you guys to 10:30 because I know there's another amazing class that's coming up with Courtney from O'Kelly and Sorhan, who's going to do a whole mock closing. So he's going to go through everything that happens at a closing, and that's going to be great. So I want to give you guys time to kind of breathe and then get on that class. But I want to open it up. Guys, what questions can I answer for you about all of the stuff that we covered today?
I have a question.
Sure.
You said that there is a form for buyers that we send to the attorney office on your, it was a list. I didn't get to take a picture of it, but if there is a closing attorney form.
Okay. If the closing attorney is going to hold the earnest money for your buyers.
Okay, not that one.
There are two forms. It's F510 and F511.
Okay.
One of the forms the buyer and the seller have to sign. The other one the attorney's office have to sign.
Okay.
That's
All
it.
right, so that's the only form for the attorney's office. When you do your purchase and sell, BBA, and that form.
That's if the only if the closing attorney is going to hold the earnest money. You
Okay.
don't have to worry about that form if the office is going to hold the earnest money.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, what else? I know somebody else has to have a question.
You said that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You said that they were encouraging people to use the attorney for holding the earnest money. Does it, like, what if you have somebody that's like, they can't do a wire, they need to do a cashier's check or something like that?
That's perfectly fine. The office can hold the earnest money. And the great thing is we're all here now. So everyone in the office is working. So absolutely do that. It just takes a lot of the stress off you having to make sure that the earnest money check gets to the office. It's really the big thing because it kind of puts that responsibility on the closing attorney. But understand, the office is happily taking checks for earnest money up to $5,000.
Oh, up to $5,000. Okay.
Anything over that, the closing attorney will have to anyway.
Okay.
And as far as the earnest money is concerned, does it have to be a cashier check or can it be a personal check as well?
If it comes to the office, it can be a personal check because we make a copy of it and we submit it and everything. A lot of people do cashier checks just because they feel more comfortable with that, but they don't have to. I mean, I deal with people every day, and especially with younger individuals buying homes, they don't even own checks. So that's kind of where the cashier's check came in. But yes, they can write a personal check. That's not a problem.
And that's up to $5,000 too?
Yes, for the office.
Okay.
And you said that you have to start your transaction form in Command first before you can pick DocuSign or Dotloop.
Yes.
And then it'll transfer over?
It will. Now, if you already have some in DocuSign or Dotloop, you can actually sync it, and that's a whole nother way to do that. And I will work with you individually to show you how to do that. However, if you start with command and if you're going to use DocuSign or Dotloop, if you start with command, then it's easy because that drop down menu for anyone who's used it, and actually let me do this. Hold on a second. Let me see, since we have a minute here, if I can just share my screen. All right, let's get out of Facebook. Nobody wants to see Facebook. All right. So can everybody see my command coming up?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to go into an opportunity. And I'm going to show you guys why it's so much easier. All right, I'm going to click on this. All right, my Herds Creek property was supposed to close this past Monday, but it's closing next week, and I have to upload a file. All right, so a couple things that you'll see. First of all, you see listed and under contract. So these are my listing documents in here, and they'll come up. Now, this is what I was talking about. Let's say, because the water and sewage, he did not sign because this just started and this is an older listing. But if you click on this, see how you can see the form?
Oh,
You can actually click right here
okay.
and it downloads the form so that you can have people sign it or put it in DocuSign or Dotloop.
Okay.
All right. Now, let's just say, the community association, you can't click on it, see? Because it's not a Keller Williams form. But the wire fraud, you can. Disclosure of advertising, look at that. This is the one that they signed that says, hey, O'Kelly and Sorehan's working with us. All right. And you can print it from here as well. A lot of pretty cool stuff. I'll show you this so you can see it live. Click on this little button and see everything goes alphabetical. I love that because I'm a nerd. But under contract, let's say that I needed to upload, because there's no earnest money, but let's say I needed to upload earnest money. And I click on add a file because this is already set in Dotloop. Watch this. Bam. There's all my forms that I have in Dotloop on this community, on this listing. So that way I don't have to upload them from someone else. I just click on it right there and it'll upload it. You just click on it and hit assign. See how easy that is? How great is that? Now, for those of you who, let's say you started a listing in Dotloop, but you didn't have command up and running yet, you would click right here and hit sync transaction. And it should go to your Dotloop because you've already connected your Dotloop and it should help you try to find it. It doesn't always work because there again, the name has to be exactly like your name and command because that's the algorithm that it's pulling. That's why we had that discussion about name. All right. Here, just to kind of let you know, you can, and I have to show you this, even though this is another class, because this, I didn't realize that so many people didn't know this. Let's say I had this, and I'm gonna go to, wait, okay. This is my ward contract, which is already approved and ready to go, but I got a backup offer on this. Oh my gosh, what do I do? There's only one under contract, right? So you go up here, click the drop down, and you can actually add a new version. You see here, I have my Norman contract backup. And you can add items that maybe aren't on here, like we talked about. There's a miscellaneous one right here, like maybe you want to add miscellaneous, but maybe you don't want it to say miscellaneous. You want it to have a word. If you click on add an item, you can enter a document name. You can tell what kind it is. And there again, you can add notes. You can upload a file, custom. Let's say maybe I wanted to add the plat in here, okay? And the plat was just an inspection, all right? But it's manual because maybe I don't have that in Dotloop. That's when I click on this and I go to my documents and I go to where I've saved Herb Creek and I say, okay, where's that crazy plat? Right there. and then I save it. And at the bottom, it's going to come up and say plat. Do you guys see that? And let's say maybe I uploaded the wrong one. I can always click on that and edit it, replace it, or print it out. Pretty cool, huh? And as you guys just saw, because I changed something, it's going to say resubmit to MC. All right. Well, guys, do you have any additional questions? Anything that I could help you with, answer for you? Anything?
Not for me, Christy. Thank you so much for this information. It was very good information.
Good. I'm glad. And I'm glad that,
I don't have any questions now, but I know when I'm in there doing a transaction, I'll be having a lot of questions.
That's okay.
I can agree.
That's
I can
okay.
agree with that.
You know what? And that's why I really wanted to do these classes, and I'm going to do more where it's like a step-by-step walking through, because it sounds great and you remember all of it, but then you get in there and you're like, where was I supposed to drop down?
And it's always easier when you have someone showing you, you're like, oh, well, that's easy. That makes sense. But when you're by yourself trying to figure it out, you're like,
Hey,
I go blank.
yeah, and I will tell you, I feel the same way. I'm still learning things in Command because they're still changing Command every day. Every week, if you guys look on the side there, it'll tell you the updates that are going. Now, granted, they're great updates, but they're still updates. So I just finally get to understand how to make a whole campaign, and then they change it. And then I have to go back and relearn it. But the great thing is it's here for us. It is an amazing system that will really help you build your business. So any questions you guys have at any time, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I am always here, and I look forward to more wonderful classes, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Y'all have a great day.
You too.